Hello, hello. Welcome into another episode of the Patriots podcast. I'm Sean here with Ryan.
What's up, buddy?
What's happening? We are here, just the two of us. James J is out and about living his life, living his best life. Luckily for us, potentially, and you as the listener, we don't have, we know what JJ is going to say. He's going to say this coaching staff, this coaching staff, this coaching staff.
Yeah. I want to say it too, but I'm not going to. I'll keep it short and sweet.
We'll say plenty of that, I'm sure. The Patriots wrapped up the season this week after Week 18, wind up with an 8-9 record, third losing record under Bill Belichick, the others being the first season in 2000, Cam Newton season in 2020. This one, they had a chance. I mean, honestly, right off the bat, kind of pleased with the way they played against the Bills. The way that they played against the Bills the last 2-3 years has just been horrendous outside of being in a hurricane. So the fact that our offense outscored their offense 23-21 in this game.
It did.
Give up the two big kick returns. Obviously, that's disappointing. But, I mean, complimentary football, you said it to me before the show started. You felt good about the way the offense and defense played.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen that all year, really. It's probably the best example of both offense and defense playing well. And I know you could judge the defense a little bit and say they let up 21 points, but that's still pretty decent against one of the better, arguably the best offense in the NFL. Special teams cost us, so it's one of these games where you kind of you take solace in the fact that, hey, this offense is finally doing stuff. They scored 23 points, which is not good, but they move the ball really well. And the best complementary football, you said it, that we've played all season, really, where our offense and defense are both playing well at the same time. The kickoff returns. There's been 5 kickoff returns in the NFL this year for a touchdown. We've allowed 3 of them. So
the Vikings game being the other one.
Yes. So that's, and then right before the game, you suspend your punter for reasons kind of unknown. They're saying that they think he's ready, but he's got a back injury. So anytime you're dealing with a back, there's things that I don't know if you've ever had a back problem. It doesn't necessarily show up on, an X-ray or whatever. You could have back pain, and I kind of side with the player when it comes to back pain. So they said they thought he was ready. He said, "I'm not ready." And instead of kicking the ball out of the end zone that you get with Jake Bailey, you're kicking the ball to the 5-yard line, and Nyheim Hines is bringing 2 back. And the way it started in this game, where Nyheim Hines brings it back, Bills are going crazy. The fans are going crazy. They're doing this for Damar Hamlin, all that stuff. And then the Patriots get the ball and go 3 and out, and you're thinking, "Oh no, this could be ugly." Defense steps up, makes some plays. Dietrich Wise gets a sack. We get the ball. We drive. I don't know, what was it, 79 or something like that yards in a very few plays, passing the ball well. Really good stuff from the passing game. Jacoby Myers gets in there with a touchdown, whereas Toe just scrapes some pebbles up, and I'm thinking, okay,
incredible catch.
Where's this been? What did you make of the offense in this one? I thought it was much, much better.
So much better. We were watching I think it was our last drive of the first half before that 15-second thing. And I was marveling at the play calls. I was well, first of all, most of the time I was yelling, "Do not throw a screen pass here. Do not throw a screen pass."
Yeah.
And then they're working the flats. They're working in the middle of the field. Hunter Henry felt like an integral part of the game. Having Devontae Parker back felt like it opened up the entire offense. I mean, obviously he made good catches, 2 touchdowns on the day, but then it felt like it also opened up other people as well. So I thought the offense was really good. We really didn't run the ball very effectively. And that's one of my
chunk plays in the running game where like
Exactly.
you'd get stuffed and then Ramondre would break like an 18-yard that really patient run. That was fucking awesome.
That was so good. That was so good.
That drive had that Ramondre. You're talking about the second drive. Not the second drive. It was technically the third drive.
Second touchdown.
Right. So it went touchdown. Oh, wait, no. Punt, touchdown, punt, touchdown. The second touchdown drive, we had hit, Parker for some good yardage. Bourne had 2 catches, 1 for 20, 1 for 8. Ramondre had that big run, and you're like, okay, these play calls are nice. These are looking really good.
Yep.
God, and it's like, why did you wait? Where was this all season? And I'm also kind of like begrudgingly liking this drive because I don't want this fucking guy calling the plays back next year. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if we beat this team right now, does Matt Patricia come back? And we'll talk about that in the offseason. And I think we all know where we stand on that. We don't want him back, but at least in that capacity. So that drive was fantastic. And was that the one where Parker was open for a touch throw in the back of the end zone for that touchdown? He had 2 touchdowns in this game. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt really good about that. And you highlighted the difference between the basically the way Buffalo's running game was working and the Patriots running game. The Patriots running game was like, I'm either getting 0 yards or I'm getting 15. And the Bills running game was, I'm getting 4 yards every single time. And honestly, I mean, it's frustrating as a fan to watch your team give up 4 yards every single time they run the ball, but it works out. It really does. And that's kind of been a staple of Bill Belichick's defense going back to the 3-4 days.
4 yards is on schedule. That's 3 downs. You got a first down. You don't have to go for it on 4th. The Patriots, we have too many of those negative plays still where we get stuffed and it puts us behind the chains and then we're 3rd and 8. But there wasn't too much of that in this game. There was some nice quick read pass plays, nice blitz pickup by the running backs. I thought the offensive line was much better against some really good competition. I thought, Greg Rousseau is really good at Oliver. They got some really good players up front. Edmonds, they're an effective team. And I thought we did a pretty good job of keeping them out of, as far as like downfield plays, we were making plays, and I thought their corners were okay. There was one play in particular that kind of pissed me off. We threw the ball to Aguilar.
The interception
on the left sideline, and Aguilar just didn't really give much effort to fight the ball away, and Tre'Davious White came down with the pick. That was a pretty big one because we were also moving the ball on that drive too. Right.
Yeah, we had 10 plays, 60 yards on that. He left
you
the
thought
ball
it was a terrible
inside.
pass? I thought it was a 50-50 pass.
It's got to be up and outside for a 50-50 pass, unless Aguilar's got inside leverage, which he didn't. He left that ball inside.
So, even so, I would have liked to see more fight there from Aguilar.
Oh, definitely.
When you see Devontae Parker, you throw that same pass to Devontae Parker. I would say at 70-30, Parker's coming down with that. I don't care who the corner is,
right?
And I'm so done with Aguilar. I can't wait for him to be off this team. Between that and like the fumbleitis and the hands aren't good. It's like everything but the hands with this guy, So, and that's been a common thing throughout his entire career.
He's a free agent. Don't worry.
He's a free agent, and he's so much money. So much money.
Well, it's off the books. It's all been paid.
I looked up the value. I think he's getting paid $14 this year.
Yeah.
And I looked up the over the cap value, the OTC value of him is $2.5 million. So slight overpay there, I would say.
Very slight. We all knew it. We knew it when it happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the offense played pretty good. Defense played really good. I mean, we forced 3 punts in this game, and it's always been the big talking point. How many? The Bills don't punt against the Patriots. We also got a takeaway, 3 takeaways, I should say. Two fumbles. One of them was on special teams. Also, the interception, Devin McCourty. I thought McCourty played a really good game. I was really happy for him. And then
that was the play where Judon and Barmore were in on Josh Allen with a lot of pressure. Judon kind of went at his legs, which is a dangerous play.
It was borderline. I think he hit him in the thigh. I don't think it was below the knee, but
he was falling down. It looked like something that maybe you can see called sometimes, a lot of the time, because it's dangerous and you're trying to protect the quarterbacks, and that is one of the most dangerous plays for a quarterback.
Without a doubt. Everybody in New England knows that from 2008.
Yeah.
So I had no confidence in this game. I don't know how many people did. Tied at halftime, leading in the third quarter. In the third quarter, the Bills scored 2 touchdowns. The key in between those 2 touchdowns, Patriots had a possession, obviously. Good return. Get out to the 40-yard line. We get a first down. We're past midfield, and it totally stalls on like the Bills' 45-yard line. Have to punt. The Bills then end up taking that for a touchdown and get a 2-score lead. And it was really tough to come back from that. And it's just like, it was such a good opportunity to even it up at that point. Even we were only down 4 at that point, so could have
just to put a little more,
or at least brought it back to 1.
Right, just put a little more detail on that. The Pats came out of the third quarter, had a really nice drive. That's the one that Aguilar didn't fight for the ball against Tre'Davious White. Bills get the ball, and then the Pats force a fumble. I think it was Jonathan Jones or someone who knocked out the ball from the running back. We ended up settling for a field goal there at 17-14. We have the lead against Buffalo in a really emotional game. I'm like, oh, great. What do we do with the following kickoff? Touchdown. Buffalo. And then Pats go 3 and out. Bomb to John Brown. Great throw. Josh Allen. Man, he had some really good throws in this game. And then Pats get a 4th and 1 to Myers. We end up scoring there to Devontae Parker. Took a deep ball away from Kyer Elam. Get a touchdown. We'll go for 2 so we can make it 25-28. And we missed a 2-point conversion on like a screen to the right. I think it was Ramondre. Was it Ramondre? It was a trips right, screen right.
I remember that. Yes, it was to Ramondre. Yeah, he got stuffed right away. They read the shit
out of it. 28-23. The Bills get the ball back. Allen throws a ridiculous pass to Stephon Diggs.
Wow.
On the left sideline. He burns Jonathan Jones, and 35-23, and then that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was basically it. All in all, I think it was a pretty good showing. I think our special teams coordinator, Cam McCord, I wouldn't like to be him in his exit meeting.
You got Joe Judge in the building, like
Joe Judge is right there.
He's right there.
He's proven. He's good. He's done it for years. Clearly, he's out of his depth in his current role. So just, slide him over. There's no shame in being a special teams coordinator while you're still making head coach money on the side.
That fucking goatee. That stupid fucking goatee, dude. Get out of town. It's like it's 1998 with this guy's fucking ridiculous.
With like that Brett Favre and something about Mary goatee.
The special teams has been bad all year.
The references. And outside of Marcus Jones.
Outside of Marcus Jones,
Brandon Spooner, I thought has been tremendous as a coverage guy. Schooler, excuse me.
Schooler, yeah.
Yeah, he's been terrific. Obviously, Slater's a steady hand.
Well, he's a steady hand, but I think when you listen to his press conference after this game, and McCourty, I don't think either one of them are returning. The way, Matthew Slater's crying in his press conference, talking about how his dad always told him to play, and McCourty's saying in the press conference that him and Slater will keep in touch. I think that's pretty much red flags that at least one of those guys are retiring. And Matthew Slater, one of the great special teams players of all time, one of the best gunners of all time. I would be surprised if he wasn't the best. 9 Pro Bowls for that guy.
Yeah.
And
how many All-Pro teams? Probably like 7 All-Pro teams.
I mean, probably all of the 9. He's fucking. He does that job, and he did it. He did it to perfection. He was one of the best ever. So to lose him, and I think to a bigger degree, if you lose him and McCourty, you lose so much leadership. These are the guys that break down the team after every game. These are the guys that lead the defense and pump up the team before the game. Those are two huge losses from just a leadership aspect.
No doubt. And I mean, you look through I'm looking through the roster right now. In terms of guys that have won Super Bowls with this team, it's like,
oh, geez.
Jonathan Jones, David Andrews.
Jonathan Jones is probably...
Jonathan Jones played really well this year. And he was way over his head. One of my number one things for the offseason, I got 5 of them, and I can get into them later. Okay. We cannot cover number 1 receivers. We have the worst time covering number 1 receivers. And most of the time, Jonathan Jones was tasked with that, which I think, look, nobody really covers Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson well. Nobody really does that. I mean, take Jair Alexander out of your head for
right. No, yeah, I understand.
It's an extremely short list. And Jonathan Jones, I mean, he's not on that list. I love the guy to death. Absolutely love him to death. He led the team in forced fumbles this season. Auburn kid, obviously, I love him. It's too much to ask for his skill set at this point. So I think he would be way, way, way better off in a number 2 role, a slot role where he's got a lot of responsibility type thing. Mm-hmm. I think he'll get paid really well. He really hasn't. I think he signed like a 3-year, $21 million deal here where I felt really good about that deal when they were able to sign him to it. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that he was an undrafted free agent and they had, restricted free agent leverage over his free agency position, where now he's probably in a spot in his career where, look, he's a proven player. He's got a skill set that can play inside out. And this is his last chance to get a decent contract. So I think he's probably going to sign with somebody for like 4 years, 40, maybe 4 years, 50, somewhere in there. And we're probably
he deserves it. He deserves it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
He's been such a great servant to the team. He was thrust into this role this year where he's playing against these number 1s, especially this season. Oh my God, did we face so many number 1s this season? I thought he did an admirable job, and he's been a slot corner for most of his career. I thought, he's made some mistakes this year. Yeah, he's not perfect, but this isn't really what he's been through his career. You put him in a tough role. Definitely we need some help at corner. Jack Jones got suspended this week for not going to a rehab assignment, it sounds like, and then being late as well. I've heard both those things. So going forward, I mean, Miles Bryant, holy shit. Like, does he get picked? He gets picked on. Good college player, very middling NFL player. I like Marcus Jones a lot. He's 5'8", so
he fights. He fights way bigger than his size.
He does. He plays bigger than his size. He's quick. He's got good hands. If you make a mistake, he'll make you pay, but he's 5'8". You know what I mean? There's some of these guys he can't match up against. You need to even put him on T. Higgins because
Yeah.
So going forward, Sean Wade's a bust. I'm sorry. Every time he gets in there, we need help at corner. And Jalen Mills being out these last few weeks has been brutal. I don't know if Jalen Mills can match up against number 1s either, but he's definitely pretty solid. It's something they need to address in the offseason. I wouldn't really love if they used a first-round pick to address it because the offensive line is so bad, but there's some corners in this class. We'll get into that later. And there's some free agents.
Well, now that we're talking about it, why don't I just give you real quick these 5 things and let you react to it. So we already went over. We can't cover. So these are all problems that we have.
Okay.
Can't cover number 1 receivers. I don't have solutions just yet. Maybe ask me in a month. Maybe I'll have some solutions. Can't cover number 1 receivers.
That's a premium concern. That's a number 1.
Yeah.
That's one of the top 5 positions on the field. All right, keep going.
Number 2, we can't impose our running game on offense. I just feel like we're like middle tier at this point. And honestly, when you look at it, the stats, we finished 24th in the league in rushing offense, 21st in yards per attempt rushing the ball. This was supposed to be the strength of this offense, and it wasn't this year. So we need to be able to impose the running game. Number 3, no power in the kicking game. Our punter sucks. I think Jake Bailey was probably hurt while he was playing earlier this year, which is why he was playing so bad. That's my hunch.
I hope so. I honestly hope so. I hope that's why he was playing so bad. And I hate to say that, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Losing him in the kickoff game, losing the power in his punting game, and then Nick Folk basically being unusable beyond 45 yards, it really limits what we can do in the kicking game.
Yeah.
Number 4, our quarterback's not comfortable with protection. We need to pass protect better.
That should probably be number 1.
I know. Well, I didn't order these. This is stream of consciousness. Yeah. So I just wrote this down.
They're all right. All right. I agree 100% so far.
And then the last one is we lack separation and imagination in the passing game on offense.
That's a huge one.
So whether or not it's the receivers that can't separate, I mean, we've seen some of them do it from time to time. Kendrick Bourne seems to be generating the most separation. Jacoby Myers in second there. But we talked about the spacing plenty of times this season. So I don't know if it's a scheme thing or a player thing or both, but there's no separation there.
I think Devontae Parker is a big factor in that because he doesn't need much separation to make catches. Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers is a free agent. I love Kendrick Bourne. He seems to be like he's going to be back, which I'm happy about. But Jacoby Myers is going to get paid, I think, upwards of $10 million a year from the production he's had with this middling offense. If you put him with a quarterback that's or an offensive system that's competent, you're looking at a 100-catch guy. You know, like I think he's got good hands. He makes smart plays generally, except for that one play. But I agree with you in the special
one play.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I didn't want to get into it too deeply there. Yeah, man.
So for
special
reference,
teams, though.
Hunter Renfrow makes he signed a 2-year, $33 million contract. Hunter Renfrow, who can't hang on to the ball.
Hunter Renfrow's younger than him, though. He's quite a bit younger,
player.
right? Similar, yeah.
Very similar player, I would say.
I would be surprised. I would like Jacoby to be back, but I don't know that we're going to do it. Especially since we still need kind of a number one option there. And I don't know how you address that because there's no number one options in the free agent class. And if you want a number one option in the draft, you're going to have to take him. I mean, there's been reports that there's been a lot of mock drafts where I've seen like Jordan Addison from USC, who I love, or Quentin Johnston from TCU. That's a number one. Quentin Johnston from TCU is a number one. And then who's the other kid there? I'm blanking a little bit. Oh, Jackson Smith and Jigba. JSN from Ohio State. He got hurt this year, but when he was healthy, he's a fucking stud. Those Ohio
I watched
State...
the Rose Bowl last year, and I couldn't get my jaw off the floor. That dude had 300
Isn't it
yards
crazy when you watch Ohio State? Like, I know I'm sidetracking a little bit here, but I'm watching Ohio State now, and I hate Ohio State. They have the best receivers. They have Julian Fleming, who was like the number one prospect in the country coming out of high school. They don't even use him. They use Marvin Harrison's kid, Marvin Harrison Jr. He's nothing like his dad. He's nothing like his. He's
Well,
six
he's
six
tall.
four. He's nothing like his dad. It's crazy. It's crazy the talent they got over there. And Jameson
Yeah.
Williams didn't even make the team. He made the team, but he was like deep on the depth chart. He had to transfer to Alabama.
Had to transfer out. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. So it sounds like, I mean, offensive line, we need the running game to work. Offensive line, we need the pass protection to be better. Wide receiver, we need separation. Cornerback, we need coverage. And then we need to improve our kicking game.
The special teams thing, I think, is the biggest thing you touched on there. It's not the biggest thing, but it's an important thing. To not have a kicker that can kick over 50 yards with an offense that can't get the ball down the field is a huge detriment. And it's not nothing against Nick Folk. I like what he does. It's just you got to have a big leg there. You know, that's for this team. This team needs a big leg. Maybe Quinn Norden is that. He's still under contract. Maybe that's the guy. I don't know. Punting, we need Jake Bailey back. Matt Pilardi is not it. He's not it. I mean, that's been atrocious. Schooler, I like what I've seen as a gunner. We need another gunner because I think Matt Slater's gone. And the biggest things I think you touched on there were offensive scheme. We got to assess this and get some kind of plan that works for the quarterback as well. Protection, Cole Strange needs to get stronger. He needs to get stronger. He's got everything but strength, and that's a huge thing for a guard. You know, guys are running over him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you nailed it. And we're going to be talking about that way more going into the offseason as we get into some of the more contemplative times in the NFL schedule. But
we're going to dig deep. I'm going to dig deep into this one. Yeah. Especially since we have the pick number 14, which is the highest I can remember in a while.
It's the highest pick we've had of our own selection since Richard Seymour.
Where was Ty Warren picked? Was he?
Ty Warren, we traded up to get Ty Warren, and I think we got him at 13.
Okay.
Yes, we traded up in 2003 to get him.
Good player he was. Oh, my God, what a good player.
I got a Ty Warren jersey hanging in my closet.
Do you? Oh, that's fucking awesome. A&M? A&M?
6'5", 3 bills. Yeah, he was a great
You know what,
player.
dude? We talked about that Christian Kirk on the last pod.
Yeah.
And I thought he went to I always get the crimson colors. Alabama and Texas A&M, I'm always messing up. I don't know why. I watch the teams. I still mess it up.
Yeah, they're in the same conference now, too. Okay, so Patriots end the season 8-9. We could do another autopsy next week when JJ gets back here in the pod.
We should probably touch on the Tom Curran report as well.
Oh, yeah. Hit me with that.
All right. Oh, Jesus. I just blanked it out.
So I guess he was talking about I talked about the exit interview for Cam McCord, the special teams coordinator. The same type of thing happens all the way up the chain. So Bill Belichick has one of those meetings with Bob Kraft.
All right, got it.
And Bob Kraft's sitting there at 82 years old, something like that, still hands-on, still integral to the way this organization functions. And it sounds like Tom Curran has some inside insight.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, he does the reporting. The meeting, I am told, I'm quoting Tom Curran, and I am a fan of Tom Curran. I like him. He's very real. He's a realist. The meeting, I am told, has happened between Kraft and Belichick. There is no impasse, which means kind of Shula, Belichick, or Shula, Huizenga kind of thing. Like, you know, Huizenga tells Shula, you need to replace this coach. Shula says, fuck you, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus. So that's kind of what that's referring to. The Pats are on to 2023 with Belichick acknowledging 2022 wasn't ideal and being amendable to changes. So don't expect a dog and pony show announcing firings or who's coming in for an interview. Belichick isn't going to put anyone's head on a spike for the pleasure of the masses. But my understanding is offensive coaching reassignments are going to happen, and several offensive coaches are under consideration for the Pats 2023 staff. So the way I'm taking that is they're going to move pieces instead of firing them. Judge, Patricia, They're going to move him into different roles of some kind. Gerard Mayo's already being considered for defensive coordinator for the Browns, which I think is a little bit lowball for him. I think he could probably be a head coach. Steve Belichick or Matt Patricia would probably take over for the defensive coordinator. And maybe Joe Judge goes into special teams, which would be our hope, I think. And then they look outside for an offensive coordinator, or maybe Nick Caley. So there's something going on there. And I've heard rumors about Bill O'Brien and Cliff Kingsbury, who just got fired from the Cardinals, to come in and be the offensive coordinator, but we still need a quarterback coach. I think that's most important right now, and an offensive line coach. And I've heard rumors about, what's his name? The kid who went to Oklahoma State, Zach Robinson, who coaches for the
the quarterback we brought in.
Right.
I think he was part of the Patriots, yeah.
He's a Los Angeles Rams quarterback coach right now. He has been, I think, for the last 2 years. Good coach. I would like to see him come in as a quarterback's coach. I don't know if we can get that, but Sean McVay is 36 years old, and he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. And he's saying to his assistant coaches,
now's the time to run.
Now's the time to browse and see what you can get. And 36 years old to not want to be part of a rebuild. Who the fuck are you?
36 years old. Well, he's got a Super Bowl. He's made how many millions of dollars, and he could make twice that to work a tenth as much on TV.
I mean, that's a baller position to take.
Incredible position to be in.
At 36? Dude, I'm almost 39. Yeah. I can't even...
I know.
36-year-old me would be like,
he's an absolute beast. Yeah. I mean, anything that'll get Kirk Herbstreit off of Thursday Night Football, I'm happy about. I can't listen to that guy do NFL games. Fantastic.
So good.
Games.
You know what I like about him during the games, though? He always talks about college. He always talks about how they were in college. And that's like...
Well, that's all he knows. That's why he's talking about it. He's like, I saw this guy in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that would be terrific. I think the offensive line coach is imperative. There's too much talent available on this offensive line to be performing the way they are, and to go from 1 year to the next and look this bad,
right?
In comparison to the way they've looked in previous years with virtually the same players.
Right?
It's embarrassing.
It's frustrating. So I think the word is frustrating. Like, these guys have some level of talent and can play. Why aren't they playing? Why aren't they performing? Trent Brown looked like a shadow of himself this year. I think he's a right tackle, a natural made right tackle. I don't think he has the feet to play left tackle. But
maybe anymore, because there is film out there from 2018 of him playing left tackle and looking outstanding. But he just didn't seem engaged.
He didn't seem engaged.
Yeah.
Like he was in years past. And
that's always
losing
been
Isaiah Wynn. You're losing Isaiah Wynn for sure. There's no way you're paying him. That's the other big thing, is the end of this season, this next season, the 2023 season, the Patriots need to make a decision on Mac Jones, whether they're picking up his fifth-year option. The fourth year is guaranteed. So when you draft someone in the first round, you get a fifth-year option, and you get 4 years of the player. But you can't pick up that option in the fourth year of that player. You have to pick it up at the end. The end of the third year is the last point you could pick it up. So this is a make or break year for Mac Jones.
Which is why you need to put a good offensive staff around him to really know, because you need to find out. Because right now we have one good year, one bad year. And we go, I don't know.
You can't say I don't know after this year. You need to know.
You need to know. Yeah, that's the point. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing you put into place. Some of the other things can be improved in free agency, in the draft. We got $45 million in cap space. We have a couple notable free agents. We talked about Jacoby and Aguilar, Johnny Jones, Isaiah Wynn, Damian Harris, Devin McCourty, Jabril Peppers. So it's not as bad as it's been in previous seasons. And some of those, I didn't even mention Slater there, because honestly, I think Slater's going to retire.
Of those guys you
But
named, I would like to see Damian Harris back, and I would like
me
to
too.
see Julius Peppers back. Even though I feel like he's a little bit injury prone, and
I'd like to
I don't
sign
like him on
Julius
special
Peppers
teams. I
too,
think
but
he's made a lot of
Jabril
mistakes.
Peppers would be good to have.
Yeah, I think
You said Julius. It's Jabril.
Did I say Julius?
Well, naturally.
You're
not gonna not.
Yeah. But no, I do think Jabril Peppers has a lot to offer on defense. I don't think he's made way too many mistakes on special teams this year.
I thought he played a lot better than Adrian Phillips on defense, honestly.
Adrian Phillips was a shadow of what we saw last year.
I think he fell off a cliff. So the way I would like to see the secondary in terms of the safety position, I want Jalen Mills to take the free safety role that Devin McCourty's been playing. And I want Duggar, obviously, to be featured. And then I want Peppers to be the Adrian Phillips. That's the way I'd like to see it. And then, Jack Jones, Marcus Jones, and then hopefully we get 2 other cornerbacks.
Right. And I'd like to figure out some kind of extension for Uche. I know it's a little bit, we're not talking about secondary there, but it's a big year for him. And it's his last year under contract, and he is a stud.
He's not going to sign anything that's not real good money because he is hot as can be right now.
He's worth good money because
he's worth money.
Judon's on the other side of 30. You got to come up with something here with Uche because
no doubt
he's a pass rusher, and those guys are premium positions.
Yeah. I will point out our multi-year summary looks pretty damn good. We've got upwards of $90 million in cap space 2 years from now. As it currently
I thought
stands.
It was 60. If McCourty doesn't return this next year, I think it's goes up to 54 or 63 or something like that because he's a $9 million cap hit.
You still got to pay that if he retires. They had Patrick Chung on the books for 2 years after he retired.
Does it count against the cap in the same way?
No. It gets spread out. Depends on when he retires, but it might get spread out over 2 years. Look at us geeking out big time,
dude. I love it.
Let's talk about some of these other Week 18 games.
Okay.
So, you're going into the playoffs. I was all geared up. I was like, this is going to be great. And then I started looking at the matchups, and I was like, there's not that much on the line in any
the way
of these
they
games.
did the schedule too was the games on Saturday. You would almost know who can't make the playoffs on Sunday. I thought that was kind of stupid. The Lions went into the game against the Packers knowing they didn't have a chance to make the playoffs, but
the
Lions came out and played their fucking asses off to spite Aaron Rodgers, and the Lions fans take that as a playoff win. That's their playoff win. We kept Aaron Rodgers from making the playoffs. They're so happy. And then I'm happy for them. I think that's and especially for that coach there. I think that's a huge boon in his a feather in his cap to get those guys to play like that when there's nothing to play for. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I should point out earlier in the season, I was thinking Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, was probably going to get axed. He turned that ship around. He figured some stuff out on that defense. Really unlocked Aiden Hutchinson the second half of the season, and he looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some head coaching looks this offseason.
Yeah.
After that turnaround, some of the other games, Tom Brady first losing season as a starting quarterback. I don't know if you saw him. He was on the sideline in the first half when he got taken out of the game, and he was so locked in. He was laser focused, in his words, as he used in the Super Bowl against the Falcons. But he was, oh my God, I think he wanted that game so bad. He did not want to come out one bit.
Yeah, they ended up losing that 130-17 to the Falcons. But they have the way the Cowboys are playing. They match up against the Cowboys in the first round, by the way. The way the Cowboys are playing, and you let Tom Brady sneak into the playoffs. That's
right.
Like vintage Tom Brady. And I'm sorry, maybe I should put money on that game because I know the Cowboys lost 26-6 against the Commanders,
and they played their players.
They played their players, and they looked terrible against the Eagles a couple weeks ago. And I'm just saying, playoff Tom Brady is no stranger to me, and it's not the same. It's not the same player.
That's a scary guy to see in round one on the road. So both the Cowboys and the Eagles had tough showings this week. Giants didn't play anybody, and the Eagles struggled with them, even with their full starters going there. So both of those NFC East teams are limping into the playoffs. The Jaguars beat the Titans on Saturday Night Football in a close game. Titans obviously playing with a quarterback who hadn't been there for like more than a month, and they ended up falling out of the playoffs way too injured. Really an outclassed team in terms of talent. Jaguars sneak in. They're going to play the Chargers next week. Jets lose to the Dolphins in a game of backup quarterbacks, where I was just willing the Jets to win, mostly because I wanted to see the Steelers in the playoffs over the Dolphins with their backup quarterback situation. And then one of the surprising games, Houston, the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I love it. I fucking love it, dude. Yeah,
the Colts out-tank everybody all the time. They do this they did it to get Andrew Luck. They did it to get Peyton Manning. They did it just this year with hiring some guy from TV to be their head coach, and then they go right in the toilet. I mean, the Texans.
It's so
go
funny
for
to be talking about the Texans. We're talking about the Texans in Week 18 here, and they're 3-13-1, and I love that. I fucking love that because I feel
fired
like
their coach like on the field.
I feel like Lovie Smith must have told that team, "I'm not going out like this. Like I'm not playing for the fucking pick. I'm not playing for the number one pick. I'm not here for the number one pick. If you want to go out there and play your asses off, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he
cost that team the number one pick by doing that.
He goes, fuck upstairs. I'll put my head on a platter for the GM to cut me down.
Oh man, I fucking love it. It gives me chills, man. I'm like, dude, fuck that. You know, beat the Colts 32-31. That's like one of my favorite outside Patriots wins this season. Not that I think that it really cost them much, because I think they want to take a quarterback. Sounds like they want to take a quarterback, and the Bears have the number one pick now. And the Bears that kicked the shit out of us, they have the number one pick, legitimately. So I think the Bears don't need a quarterback. I think they love Justin Fields. He's a 1,000-yard rusher, Justin Fields. He's got 1,100 yards rushing. He's like seventh in the NFL in rushing.
It's like the third time a quarterback's ever done that. It might be the most of a quarterback ever. I have to look at that stat. Yeah, so the Bears lose to the Vikings.
NFL rushing. I want to say seventh in the NFL rushing for a quarterback has to be.
And miss how many games? How many games did he miss? I mean, he's a 14-yard rusher if he doesn't miss games.
He runs for like 50-yard runs when he runs. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'll put a flag in the ground saying that I don't think you could win playoff games with Justin Fields as your quarterback. I also don't think that you can spend the number one overall pick on a quarterback when you have Justin Fields in year 3.
It's weird because he wasn't this quarterback until recently. Like, I know he had good feet in college and in high school, but he was always a passer. Like, he passed the shit out of the ball. I mean, look at Jackson Smith and Jigba's year 2 years ago, and some of these guys. When he's had weapons in high school and college, he's been able to throw the ball when he's had importantly
protection. The Bears' offensive line is among the worst in the NFL.
And you have to think that that's not going to affect the Texans too much because, I mean, Will Anderson's perfect for the Bears, isn't he? And like,
God, perfect.
It's just like
perfect for them too.
And I did too, but I think they just
got
paid
up the wazoo.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted to pay him. I think that's why they got rid of him. You know, and they got something for it too. So good on them because they weren't going to pay him.
And then they gave it right away for Chase Claypool. The other
Bryce
game,
Young sweepstakes. I think that the Texans still win the Bryce Young sweepstakes. I would imagine, even though he's small, and C.J. Stroud's not my cup of tea, but I thought he played pretty well in the semifinal game, and we'll get into all that stuff down the road, I think. But
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned the Steelers sneaking in as well.
Steelers went on a run at the end of the season. They wind up with a winning record. Mike Tomlin keeps his streak alive. Like
Good coach.
14 seasons, 15 seasons, winning record. I mean, tremendous.
I'm shocked by that. When I saw them early in the season, I thought they were one of the worst teams in football. I really did. To go to start 2-6 and then finish 7-2, that's pretty impressive. Even with tiny two gloves over there, smallest hands in the NFL for a quarterback. Dude, I want to say something, but I can't. I don't think it's right for the podcast. But
no, probably not. Probably not. Keep it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it maybe after.
Yeah.
He's playing well, man.
Did you see the Seattle and the Rams game? Yeah, went into overtime. Seattle tried to give it away a couple times. Rams couldn't ultimately come away with it at the end. Baker Mayfield is extremely limited in what he's able to do. Threw behind receivers. Van Jefferson, I'm surprised didn't throw a fit, Justin Jefferson style, on the field. Yeah. Seattle got, I must say, many calls. Every single call in the fourth quarter and overtime went Seattle's way. So they were able to pull that out. They go into a snoozer of a wild card game against the Niners next week. Boy,
yeah, you gotta imagine.
I might nap through that entire thing.
Yeah, can Brock Purdy keep this up in the playoffs? What I like about Brock Purdy is he lets the players, he lets his weapons do the job for him. You know what I mean? He doesn't do anything overcomplicated. He just makes it easy, and they've made it. I feel like they've simplified that offense a little bit. They kicked the shit out of Arizona this week, 38-13. I like Brock Purdy. I did not see this coming, though. Was he Purdue? I feel like he was Purdue kid.
Iowa State. He does look like a Purdue quarterback.
He does look like a Purdue kid, doesn't he?
Yeah. So this weekend we got 6 wild card matchups. I got them in front of me right here. Seattle, San Fran, we mentioned. The Chargers going to Jacksonville Saturday night. Then on Sunday we got Miami, Buffalo, Giants, Minnesota, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Monday night, Dallas, Tampa Bay. Of those 6 games, if you could only watch one of them, which one are you tuning into?
Oh, man.
You already mentioned Brady and Dallas. I mean, that's a good one. The Giants going to Minnesota. Minnesota plays close games. The Giants play close games. That's going to be tight. Baltimore, Cincinnati, that's divisional. The Chargers in Jacksonville. It's got
I think the Chargers
drama.
in Jacksonville. I think the Chargers in Jacksonville is going to be the tightest game. And I say that knowing... All right, first of all, what the fuck were the Chargers doing last week?
Playing everybody for no reason.
They played everybody for no good reason. What do you... I don't understand that. And then, guess what? Mike Williams gets injured badly. There's no way he's playing. He's still not practicing. I think the Jaguars are going to beat them. They're in Jacksonville. I think it's a good game. I think that's 2 of the quarterbacks that are like the future of the league. Trevor Lawrence, I think he's shown enough this year to be considered like a top echelon quarterback, and Justin Herbert certainly is that. But without the weapons there for Justin Herbert, I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be really tight. I like that game a lot.
That team is totally different offensively without Mike Williams. For a team that was injured so much this season, to then put your guys out there in harm's way for no gain.
They played Eckler the whole game. It was like, what are you guys doing,
in like the
man?
Quarter. Yeah, how is that?
I don't get it. I don't understand the thought process there. You know, I've taken gambles on this team in the past, and they're going to shoot themselves in the foot every chance they get. That's what they've been doing this whole Brandon Staley regime has been like, we're going to fucking roll the dice on everything, you know?
Yeah. I got to take Dallas, Tampa for watching reasons. I think Tampa's going to be down 10 to 11 points in the fourth quarter. And you're just going to be looking at Tom Brady going, can he do it? Can he do it again? Even if they're down like 17 points in the fourth quarter, you're still thinking it. You're still thinking there's still
there's
that
no
guy
point
on
in
that
time.
sideline.
There's no point in time in the playoffs where I could watch Tom Brady and be like, he doesn't have the advantage, you know? And I know that team has been struggling so much this year, but I'm looking across the field and I'm like, the Cowboys have been struggling even worse. The Cowboys have a great record. What is it, like 12-5?
12-5, yeah.
12-5. Guess what? They're at Tampa Bay. That's 8-9. Tampa Bay has home field for winning that fucking division. You know, so I'm taking the Bucks, man. I don't know what you know what the line is on that.
I think it might be even. Last I looked,
is it even? Wow, that is sad.
I think the Jacksonville Chargers line is even. Dallas might even be giving some points to Tampa at this point.
These are all good games. I feel like most of these are good games. Except
Miami
for the Seahawks
Buffalo
Niners.
is not. Miami Buffalo. If you had Tua in that game, a team that beat Buffalo previously in the season, that's a different story. But
we gave them a run. We gave them a run this past week. And if Bridgewater's back, maybe it's not as bad as we think. I don't think Skylar Thompson can do that, go into Buffalo and beat them. Yeah, that's probably the worst game of the week, though. I would say Niners and Seahawks is the second worst game. Dolphins and Bills probably the worst game. Chargers and Jaguars,
Baltimore,
I think it's really. I think Chargers and Jaguars is a tight game.
Yeah,
and I think the Buccaneers will beat the Cowboys, and I would love to put money on that. Bengals and Ravens. I think we've seen enough from the Bengals. And by the way, the Bengals beat the Ravens last week, but the Ravens played a bunch of third string, second string guys. They need their quarterbacks back. They need Huntley back. Lamar Jackson still hasn't practiced. He hasn't practiced since December 4th. I think that's 26. I'm going to say 26 straight practices that he's missed.
Wow. Jeez.
So Lamar Jackson's not going to play. I would say the Bengals should win that game pretty handily with Burrow, and I mean they've been getting healthy too. That might be in the discussion of worst games because I think the Bengals at home should pretty much handle them, even though they're divisional opponents. They know each other really well. The Vikings and Giants. We saw it a few weeks ago. That was a tight game. I think that it's funny to say this. I think either the Giants win by a lot or it's a one-score game. It's a one-score game, and the Vikings win it because that's what they do, right? Like, they win the tight game for some reason.
Yeah, that's their thing. They're undefeated this year in one-score games.
Right. They got to get after Cousins. Kayvon Thibodeau, all those guys. That's the Giants' key to success there, I would think.
Have to. And just a correction, Dallas is giving 2.5 points to Tampa Bay. Tom Brady is a home underdog in the playoffs.
Oh, I love it.
Can't imagine that's ever happened before.
Dog that man. Tell him he sucks. Tell Tom Brady he sucks.
See what happens.
Yeah. See what happens.
Yeah. Anything else you want to go over this week?
Just one thing. The Belichick press conference, to kind of sum up the season, he mentioned that the Patriots in aggregate, and the Boston media ran away with this. They kind of made a big deal out of it. The Patriots are 27th in spending on players over the last 3 years. Even though, because the reporter asked him, given that you made an unprecedented spending spree on free agents a couple years ago, blah blah. Are you disappointed or whatever in what you've seen as far as results? He said, well, if you look at it over the course of a 3-year aggregate like we do, we don't look at it in a snapshot. We look at it kind of long term. We're 27th in spending, and I thought that kind of, and I think the Boston media thought this too. It kind of threw the ball into Robert Kraft's court a little bit, but at the same time, I'm thinking Bill Belichick is the one who makes these decisions as far as players. Did you hear that? And what did you think of that?
I didn't hear that, and I wonder if he means cash payouts or if he means salary payouts, meaning like cap. How much of the cap do we use versus?
Well, they
how
spend
much
to the cap
cash do
every
we
year.
give
I
up?
think they spend to the cap more than most teams every year. They do that all the time.
So then I'm really not sure what he's talking about. I mean, when we made that big free agency push, a lot of that was like, we signed Hunter Henry to a 3-year deal and Jonnu Smith to a 4-year deal and Jalen Mills and Dietrich Wise to 4-year deals. So a lot of that was spread out over time. And, but from Robert Kraft's perspective, a lot of that was given away as signing bonuses, which comes out of his pocket immediately. So I guess I'm wondering which of those frames he's using to make that claim. You can really only look at this roster and say that they misspent at different positions. Like, how do you spend whatever? I think salary wise, we're spending about $40 million at tight end. And I don't know where we rank in terms of tight end production in the passing game. But
It's funny. It's funny too. I hate to interrupt you there, but I see a lot of these mock drafts of us picking Michael Mayer from Notre Dame at 14, who's a stud tight end. And I
love Notre Dame tight ends.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You know what they're going to do. They're physical. They're first downs. That's what they are. They're first down players. Kyle Rudolph comes to mind.
Kyle Rudolph, Cole Kmet, Tommy Tremble,
Zach Eifert.
Tyler Eifert was good. He was really good when he was healthy.
Yeah. So that's something. I would love that, but at the same time, like you're gonna have 3 tight ends in the roster, and we always play 11 personnel now.
Yeah.
So it's like, does that fit on what we're doing? I don't think so. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on before we get off here is the Patriots are scheduled to have their coaches coach the East-West Shrine Bowl for college. And there's one specific line here on Yahoo that I want to pull up. Jesus. And it basically says that the coaches who get selected, and I thought it was by like assistant, they would like kind of like draft a team of coaches for this, but now it's Patriots, and they're saying that it's based on teams that haven't had an offensive coordinator change or head coach change. The language of that is odd. It was reported by Adam Schefter, and I just wonder if that means that we aren't going to make any coordinator changes. The way it's worded is very suspect to me, and I can't seem to find it right now, of course.
That's weird. Yeah. No offensive coordinator changes just based on you haven't named an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator in years. They just haven't named them that. Even though some of those guys are basically wearing those hats.
You're looking for like no changes, right? And that's what is puzzling to me about it. And I have the excerpt here. Let me just read it to you. Once I find it. Okay. Coaching at the Shrine Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Falcons and Patriots will be the 2 coaching staffs for this year's East-West Shrine Bowl, with head coach and coordinating changes among non-playoff teams. With no head coach and coordinator changes among non-playoff teams, the Falcons and Patriots best fit the criteria of coaching this year's Shrine Bowl. Does that mean we can't have changes? I just don't understand that wording.
I don't know. If they already announced it, then I'm sure that you could make changes at this point. But it's like, what is there? I think there's 5 head coaching vacancies at this point, and there might be a couple more. Browns fired their defensive coordinator. There's been a couple coordinator changes already. I would expect the Lions to be on that list. I feel, even though Ben Johnson,
I think their offensive coordinator is gone. Yeah, I think their offensive coordinator is being shopped around. I have heard that. And that's a great offense. There's a couple hot names,
and he's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
So, that'll be interesting to see Belichick coach that. I know the Senior Bowl is typically coached by the 2 worst records.
Well, I mean, even if you look at the Shrine Bowl, we draft a lot of players out of there every year. I mean, last year was Tyquan Thornton, Jack Jones, Pierre Strong, Sam Roberts. It's 4 guys right there we drafted from the Shrine Bowl last year. So it's something I would say it's something to watch. That's February 2nd in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. So,
Outstanding. Yeah, good for them. They get to do that. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that off-season bowl game or that kind of all-star game that's not limited to only seniors.
Yeah.
So that's where
you know what
Jack Jones.
This is the best time of the season for me. Is like, let's get better. How do we get better? And I'm gonna start digging into this draft stuff and free agents, and it's exciting. It's exciting because I think we weren't even close to where we want to be. Right. So let's go.
That's true. Let's go. There you go. Maybe that's the mantra for the off season. So that'll do it. That'll do it for us here. Thank you everybody for listening, and we'll be back next week with the full crew.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See ya.